Hi everyone, I'm Javira, Head of Partnerships and Community at With You With Me, and thank you again for joining us with this podcast series where With You With Me and AntWorks are proudly talking to you about our new partnership together. With me today, I have Leslie Holland. Welcome, Leslie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you for asking. Leslie, can I start off by asking you to introduce yourself, the role into the business, and if from there we can take it into your journey into the tech industry, and share with us why you're passionate about what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Leslie Holland, AVP for Product Management with AntWorks. I'm based in the United States. I've been in the automation industry for over 6 years now, I would say. I've been, in different roles, but prior to AntWorks, I used to manage RPA projects for a very large hospital system. And, most recently, I was super proud as far as getting nominated for Top 20 Women in Intelligent Automation. So happy to be here, and I'm super excited to get started.
Fantastic. If you could go into a little bit more detail for me, exactly what, could you let us know exactly what your role is at AntWorks, if that's okay?
Absolutely. So I mainly handle, as far as like marketing, all of our products and how it resonates to, the market, and making sure that, as far as the different, because we're in different markets globally, right? So from US, APAC, Middle East, India, and they're all different segments, and we're making sure that we're addressing customer journeys. We are making sure that the marketing message resonates also, and the product, translates to what the clients actually needs.
Fantastic. Leslie, I think it's a really great segue to ask you this next question. Which industries would benefit most from digitization and intelligent automation?
So I would definitely, I'd be happy to respond back to that. But I think we need to backtrack a little bit. And with our industry, as far as like intelligent automation, what we really focus on is, the documentation side of it. So documents are everywhere in every business, right? And in many cases, large volumes of documents. So take, for example, the paperwork that goes into, let's say, applying a new car loan. When you buy a house, you have to sign that large pile of mortgage documents. I'm pretty sure you're aware of it. When you file insurance claims, when you apply for a driver's license, right? Or when you apply for a passport, you have that documentation, and then you have the processing side of it. It's tedious work for businesses to manually process stacks and stacks of documents. And it just really impedes organizational efficiency, scalability, customer service, and achieving the competitive edge. So in light of the current environment right now, especially with the whole COVID-19, a lot of industries have been disrupted at huge scale, some more than others. So, but for sure, the manual processing of paper has become even more challenging with people working remotely, and even riskier for security reasons. So, to go paperless, companies need to look at adopting technology such as intelligent document processing, or IDP, for example. So IDP, just like our CMR, it's capable of processing documents with greater accuracy, increased efficiency, and you're able to process any data type that's presented, whether it's structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. So, I'm pretty sure have you heard of RPA before?
Yeah, and I think I got to speak to Ash and both Robin as well, who gave us a little bit of insight about where RPA sort of started and how CMR technology fits into AntWorks. Yeah.
I used to, like I said, I used to manage RPA projects in the past until I saw, I got a hold of CMR, which is, essentially what we have. So I understand some folks are familiar with RPA or robotic process automation, right? Unfortunately, RPA alone, based on my previous professional experience, won't get businesses their more comprehensive end-to-end automation goals, right? At the end of the day, RPA on its own really struggles with that. So we're seeing industries, for example, that's like ahead of the curve in terms of adoption. A lot of these companies typically would say would be like your banking, your financial services, and your insurance. So these are the verticals that, you know, took devs as far as like implementing RPA, because there's a huge back office need to it. However, I'm not saying that, you know, it's limited to that. The beauty of, you know, our technology essentially is you are solving that scale problem that RPA comes with, right? So we're seeing industries that are ahead of the curve, but the value of automation is everywhere. So it's not just your banking, financial services, or insurance industries. I mean, you can have the government, for example. You can have healthcare. You can have life sciences. I'll give you some use cases. So, like when I mentioned, BFSI, or banking, financial services, insurance. So, for example, banking, you have your mortgage processing, you have your account opening forms and loan applications, right? For insurance, you have your claims processing. For supply chain management, you have your shipment tracking, bill of lading, transport of notes. Healthcare, oh my gosh, it's huge. Like mentioned a while ago, I came from healthcare. You have your health plan enrollment forms. You have your billing, right? You have your medical claims and patient medical records. Those are huge, huge, you know, process-driven type of you know, work that RPA alone or even OCR alone won't be able to address. I'll give you another example: manufacturing. There's purchase orders, there's invoices. Regardless of which company, you have accounts payables and receivables. For government, which is interesting, we have use cases, for example, in visa application and processing, passport verification and management, right? Driver's license registrations. There's utilities such as, you know, electricity, water, gas, which means there's applications and processing essentially. So when a company adopts IDP or, you know, CMR, or your intelligent document processor or intelligent automation, you're able to reduce the overall cost as far as processing huge volumes of data. You increase the accuracy and speed, because definitely a lot less mistakes happen, and the turnaround time is phenomenal. So, you know, in the past, for example, if it takes you about 3 to 5 business days before you process your passports, you can get that in less than a day now, as far as like turnaround time. And you want that for your customer service, right? Definitely improves strategic business outcomes that goes beyond cost or cost reduction or overhead reduction. So in my previous life, you know, we automated a lot of these projects. That way we can use that FTE, full-time equivalent employees, and scale that and use them in other departments. That way we don't have that large overhead cost that comes with it, and we can actually scale employees. So yeah. Those are just some of the use. There's so many. I mean, I think I put together over 400 use cases on our website. So yeah, there's all industries touch this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That I was just about to say, I think what you emphasized in that point was that every single industry can benefit, no matter from, you know, healthcare, like you said, all the way through to government. Someone can obviously benefit from that. And what I really loved what you said about all this as well was it actually touched into some of the previous podcasts that I've done. It's about that data collection, buying back time, being able to shift then the you know, that FTE equivalent to be able to go and do something more meaningful, and that buyback of customer service for your clients, you know, which is exactly what we want. We want happy customers. We want to be able to utilize our current employees for something actually more valuable and take away those processes that, you know, we can use time better spent somewhere else. So yeah, you've highlighted that, yeah, really, really well. So Leslie, can I ask you to share with us maybe some examples of companies that you've worked with which have actually benefit from digitization and IA?
Absolutely. So I'll give you 2 good ones actually. So first one is John Hancock. John Hancock is an AntWorks client, large insurance company, right? And in their long-term care division, they used to manually handle bank authorization processing. So meaning there's large volumes of documents that they've received that needed to be manually processed. And it contains a vast amount of data, including handwriting. And handwriting is a little bit tricky because handwriting is handwriting, right? Not all block handwriting is the same. So each of these documents required like someone to manually read, and not to mention data, like your data entry to your system. That alone took forever. So they figure out like, hey, how can we save time as far as, getting the information, extracting the information that you need from these large piles of documents, and it goes straight directly to their legacy system. So, and not to mention making sure that the signatures are there or validated. So essentially they use CMR solution. What happened then is CMR, you basically curate these documents in various formats, and it extracts automatically the required information using natural language processing, and essentially artificial intelligence, such as machine learning, based on John Hancock's business rules. And that's the beauty of this, is it goes beyond, you can actually put brains behind this. It's like having that person see, is this correct? You have that validation point before. It's not just a simple extraction tool. And that's the beauty of, this technology, because of artificial intelligence, essentially. So now, based on their business rules, you can automatically process, essentially approve or deny or question these, documents. So what John Hancock was able to achieve is, first of all, up to 92% accuracy for handwriting recognition. And there's no way OCR can do that. It struggles with handwriting. Another big thing too is up to 75% reduction in manual work. So think about that. If you had a team and now 75% reduction in manual work, that's a lot of hours for a company, that size. And I think the biggest value for, biggest key outcome really for John Hancock was like that experience of having that fast turnaround time, which means they're a lot more responsive to their clients. And, it's all about providing that positive customer experience, right? So there's one for you. So John Hancock. So the second one would be a good one. It would resonate, would be one of our banking clients is City Union Bank. And part of, City Union Bank's process is, it's this process called KYC. Are you familiar with KYC, or have you heard of KYC before?
No, it'd be probably, beneficial if you could just explain that part. That would be great.
Absolutely. So KYC is Know Your Customer process. This came about after 9/11, where, they want to prevent any type of like anti-money laundering. And this is global scale. So banks are required to check that, hey, you want to do financial transactions or open an account. We want to make sure that this is not money laundered for, terrorist events, or so people who are like blocked from using financial systems, right? So since banks are required to do this globally, it's a tedious process. So our client, City Union Bank, they needed to allow customers, right, to open new accounts, but not hit that, that lag time of verifying all these documents. And that's just like for personal accounts. For businesses, it's a lot more than just, your typical, we need your ID and we need, financial records. I mean, there's a lot more that they ask. So I'm talking about going through tons and tons of checks that in the past were manually done, such as, for example, you have a team of employees that they go through international finance databases. They go through government databases manually, right? They go through consumer reporting agencies' sites, manually inspecting, for example, the driver's license, and manually inspecting all of the either articles of incorporation for businesses or financial statements or passports. I mean, there's no way, OCR would struggle with that because of all the different formats for these documents. And there's no way RPA can do that as well. RPA can possibly automate simple tasks, but to go through an end-to-end automation, there's just no way. So with City Union Bank, they were adding hundreds of new customers each month. And the operations team here had to manually verify, I think over over 100,000 pages of supporting documents each month. So what CMR did was it accelerated the process of document verification by extracting all these pertinent data, right, from documents such as your passports, your driver's license, handwritten text, like, your signature. And then CMR retrieves the data from internal and external systems. So instead of, a person going through financial records or government sites, you have CMR actually do that for you. So think about, and then you have the business rules to say that, hey, this person is legitimate. You can have this person have an account, or, hey, this is questionable. It will automatically give you that as a report, which I think is, amazing. So with City Union Bank, some of the key outcomes that they uncovered was obviously streamline this process, which literally 97% increase in productivity for that team while ensuring 100% regulatory compliance. And that's huge, right? Especially for financial, companies. CMR also reduced the onboarding time from 8 days, because it can take up to 8 days to onboard. And now it's less than an hour.
Ow.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. We saved the company thousands and thousands of staff hours, resulting in redeployment of those resources in other functions, right? And essentially boosting, bottom line savings for the bank.
That's fantastic. And can I just emphasize one of the points that you said, which for anyone listening, obviously, the fact that there's business exceptions, because I think one of the things that we see when we're getting obviously the veteran community to come through the training, and perhaps industry in itself that really don't understand the benefit of intelligent automation, is that they think they're trying to replace workers. But it's not that, right? You'll have business exception rules so that there is sort of like a process that it's not something that will be cryptic but there's no checking and there's no checks and balances, when no, there absolutely is, which is what you have. Yeah, totally. And I'm so glad that you've highlighted that. It's about creating the business rules, about understanding what are the regulatory compliances, building that into that process sort of automation flow, and having someone to sort of understand, well, this is the first part. We're going to automate this process. This is a business process that if we see a discrepancy or something that we need to be flagged, it's in there and it's built into the process, which I think is great, because most people think, oh, you're going to take some approach and just block it into one of what we're doing. But it's not that. It's not at all. You're actually putting a process in place for that business unit, essentially, depending on what their needs are. So it's really tailored to that individual business unit, to that organization, to everything, which is really exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to have checks and balances, and you have to make sure everything is, I mean, a lot of our clients are banks and financial services, which are highly regulated. So think about it, there has to be an audit trail, right? For all of these things that you have to process. Just because you have a machine that automates everything, no, you have to have that audit trail in case, one of those, for example, here, IRS or an auditor checks you, or if you hire like an EY or, KPMG, you have to have an audit trail, you have to have the reports. And absolutely, the business rules engine definitely helps making sure that, hey, you can actually QC this, right? You have that quality control, and making sure that what everything is doing is right. And you still have that, you can, it doesn't have to. You can do a straight through automation, but you also have that option to have that QC in place, like that human intervention. A big point is scaling, right? So a lot of people who don't understand automation think that, hey, these bots will replace our jobs. Not necessarily. And based on my experience in the past, more than anything, it actually like complements your job. I had a team who all they do was literally check for, invoices, right? And keying in information from those invoices. And now they don't have to do that. It just automatically goes through. And if there's issues, for example, or discrepancies, it flags me to let me know. So instead of wasting my time doing manual data entry, I can actually do better things. If I'm a business, you want that. You want that employee productivity, number one. You want to save hours. You want to scale your workforce without adding in, more overhead. But how do you actually smartly or intelligently do that? And I think automation literally is the future.
Oh, totally. I 1,000% agree with you. And I think that's what's so exciting about our partnership is that we're providing that opportunity to bring military veterans across the globe, the opportunity to train and understand that they're learning digital skills and they're going to be able to implement them into businesses that are going to improve productivity ratios, improve really employee, I suppose, satisfaction levels, because they're not doing, like you said, those mundane tasks of actually, I'm going to analyze that data now rather than I'm just going to manually process and enter it, because now I can use my thinking power to actually do something that's more meaningful and have better outcomes and business solutions.
Absolutely. And with with me, right? I told you earlier today that, it's I'm a big fan of what you guys do, especially how you help veterans transition into a new career, all the way to maintaining that skilled workforce. Because my grandfather was a World War II veteran. And so it definitely resonates, to me. It's very impactful. It's just to say the least. And for someone who, let's just say, is transitioning from a military career to this, and they have that interest of, like, let's say, getting into the business world, right? Or getting to, like, let's say, hey, I want to work for a Fortune 500, or I want to make an impact. This is an awesome industry to get in. Number one, a lot of transferable skills. You have to be, a lot of the military folks are very analytical, for example, very driven, very process oriented, right? Because you have to have that military, so you have to have that process. But this is one of the best careers they can actually get into, because it talks so much about their potential and their skills and how applicable it is. Like, I can tell you now that, hey, if you're process driven, if you're there, if your goal is to do continuous improvement, right? If you're analytical, goal oriented, intelligent automation is the right path for you, and you can definitely make a difference regardless of in it is.
Absolutely. 1,000% agree with you again, Leslie. I think that's what's really exciting about this partnership is that we have two unique businesses that are making, realistically, we're making a social impact, but you're making an impact on automation solutions for, globally. So it's very, very exciting. Leslie, thank you so much. I've utterly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you again. We're really looking forward to the fruits of this partnership and the exciting opportunities that it brings for not only industry, but obviously veterans coming out of service and wanting to upskill and retrain into their new futures.
I'm all for it. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the opportunity too.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Leslie.